for you, I think. 12 o'clock pediatrics class. Have you got the information? Chanakya?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, but at 12 o'clock you are will be having the one more class, pediatrics.
Yes, sir. We got the information recently.
Okay. Right. So today we will discuss about the anatomy and physiology of larynx. Okay. Students,
Yes, sir.
are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So larynx is situated anterior to the hypopharynx. Okay, at the level of the C3 to C6 vertebra. So that is cervical vertebra C3 to C6. So that is the extension of the larynx from C3 to C6, just opposite to the hypopharynx. So pharynx is divided into three parts: nasopharynx, oropharynx, and the hypopharynx. So the part of the pharynx on either side of the larynx, that is the hypopharynx or laryngopharynx. So if you see from posterior to anterior, posteriorly there is a vertebral column, then pharynx, then larynx. Okay, then esophagus, then larynx. Below the larynx, there is a esophagus. So larynx is made up of cartilages, mainly by the cartilages, and there is connecting membranes. So in between the cartilages, there is a connecting membranes and the ligaments, and intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of the larynx and joints. So there are two joints in the larynx. So we'll discuss in detail about all these cartilages of the larynx, laryngeal framework, mucosal lining, vocal cords. Okay. So this is the picture you can see here. Anterior surface of the larynx will be like this. So this is anteroposterior view of the larynx. So this is the hyoid bone. So most of the larynx is supported by the hyoid bone. So that is by the there is one membrane between the thyroid cartilage and the hyoid bone, that is the thyrohyoid membrane, and also muscles, extrinsic muscles and the intrinsic muscles of the larynx. So this is the membrane, thyrohyoid membrane, which connects the hyoid bone to the thyroid cartilage. So this is the thyroid cartilage, this is the cricoid cartilage, and this is the thyroid gland. These are the tracheal cartilages, and this is the muscles. Okay, cricothyroid and thyroid muscles. Cricothyroid from the cricoid cartilage to the thyroid cartilage, and from thyroid to the hyoid bone. So this is anteroposterior view of the larynx. So here you can see thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, tracheal rings, and the hyoid bone, and the thyroid membrane, and one more membrane is there here. This is the cricothyroid membrane. In between the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage, that is the cricothyroid membrane. And in between the lower border of the cricoid cartilage and upper tracheal ring, there is one more membrane, that is the cricotracheal membrane. Cricothyroid, cricotracheal, and the thyroid. Three membranes. So this is the posterior view. In posterior view, you can see the one more cartilage of the larynx, that is the epiglottis. Okay, epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, and this is the uniform cartilage and the corniculate cartilage, and these are the muscles, interarytenoid muscles, and this is the arytenoid cartilage. Third one is the arytenoid cartilage, and fourth one is the cricoid cartilage. and eighth one is this is the thyroid gland, and transverse arytenoid muscle, oblique arytenoid muscle, and the posterior cricoarytenoid muscles. So all this I'll explain in detail. So this is just outline. This is again posterior view of the larynx. You can see the epiglottis, posterior surface of the epiglottis. Epiglottis will have the two surfaces. So anteriorly, anterior surface, posteriorly, posterior surface. Posterior are laryngeal surface, anterior are lingual surface. The surface which faces the base of the tongue, that is the lingual surface, and the posterior one is the laryngeal surface. This is again hyoid bone, and this is the arytenoid cartilage, this is the cornicate cartilage, this is the cricoid cartilage, transverse arytenoid muscle, oblique arytenoid muscle, and the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. So all these are the muscles of the larynx. These are the intrinsic muscles. This is lateral view. So in lateral view, you can see the hyoid bone, thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, tracheal rings, and these are the muscles, cricothyroid muscle, oblique part and the vertical part of the cricothyroid muscle, and these are the interarytenoid muscles. In between the two arytenoid cartilage, oblique and transverse arytenoid muscle, and the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. And there is a foramen here for the laryngeal vessels and the internal branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. So superior laryngeal arteries and the superior laryngeal vessels, there is a foramen here within the thyroid membrane. So by piercing this membrane, these vessels and the nerves will enter the larynx. So that is the thyroid membrane. So this is the superior view of the larynx. Superior view. If you see the larynx from above, so you can see these structures. So again, hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone. Second one is the thyroid cartilage, vocal cords, arytenoid cartilage, cornicate cartilage, lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, lateral cricoarytenoid, transverse arytenoid and the oblique arytenoid, transverse arytenoid and the oblique arytenoid. So this is the superior view of the larynx. So this is same picture, superior view, schematic diagram, thyroid cartilage, glottis. So glottis is nothing but the space between the true vocal cords, that is the glottis. This is sagittal section of the larynx, hyoid bone, epiglottis, pre-epiglottic space, hyoepiglottic ligament. Okay, this is the cuneiform cartilage. Within the aryepiglottic fold, there is a cuneiform cartilage, thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, vestibular fold or false vocal cord. Ninth one is the true vocal cord. Below the vocal cord, there is a subglottis. So this is same picture, sagittal section of the larynx. This is coronal section of the larynx. So in coronal section, you can see the vestibule of the larynx, ventricular fold or false vocal cord, true vocal cord, vocalis muscle, and the infraglottis or subglottis. This is the cricoid cartilage and the trachea. So from the inlet of the larynx up to the level of the false vocal cord, that is called the vestibule of the larynx. So larynx is divided into three parts by these two vocal cords, that is the false vocal cords and the true vocal cords. So the part of the larynx or laryngeal cavity from the laryngeal inlet to the false vocal cord, that is the vestibule of the larynx. So in between the false vocal cords and the true vocal cords, that is the ventricle of the larynx. So the space between the false and the true vocal cords is the ventricle of the larynx. This is the ventricle of the larynx. These are the true vocal cords. So below the true vocal cords, lower border of the true vocal cords, that is the subglottis or infraglottis. So this is thyroid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, hyoid bone, and epiglottis. So this is the coronal section of the larynx or laryngeal cavity. So if you see the structure of the vocal cord or vocal fold, you can see the three layers. So epithelium, which is made up of stratified squamous epithelium. Epithelium, just below the epithelium, there is a space within the vocal cord that is called the Reinke space. Reinke space. There is a loose areolar tissue within the vocal cord just below the epithelium. So that is the Reinke space. So below the epithelium, there is a lamina propria. In lamina propria, there is a three layers. So superficial layer is the Reinke space, intermediate and deep layer, and intermediate and deep layer forms the vocal ligament, and in below that, deeper to that, there is a vocalis muscle. So vocalis muscle is thyroarytenoid muscle, internal part of the thyroarytenoid muscle, that is the vocalis muscle. So this is again same picture, stratified squamous epithelium. Structure of the vocal cord, this is important, you have to remember. So there is a lining epithelium, that is the stratified squamous epithelium, and Reinke space between the vocal ligament and the epithelium. So that is the superficial layer of the lamina propria and thyroarytenoid muscle or vocalis. And this is the vocal ligament. So laryngeal framework is formed by the three single and the three paired cartilages. Single cartilages and the paired cartilages. Single cartilages are the epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage, and paired cartilages are the arytenoid cartilage, cornicate or Santorini, cuneiform or cartilage of Whisper. So these are the three paired cartilages and three unpaired cartilages. So this is the epiglottis. Epiglottis, hyoid bone, and thyroid membrane, thyroid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage. So these three unpaired cartilages you can see in the AP view: epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage. So in this, thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage are formed by the hyaline cartilage, but epiglottis is formed by the yellow elastic cartilage. So thyroid and cricoid are the elastic, this hyaline cartilage. Thyroid, cricoid, and arytenoid, most of the arytenoid, except tip of the arytenoid, are formed by the hyaline cartilage. Tip of the arytenoid, epiglottis, cornicate, and cuneiform cartilages are formed by the elastic cartilage. Hyaline and the elastic cartilage. Hyaline cartilages will, in later life, they will ossify. So they will become like a hard and bony structure. Ossification of the hyaline cartilage. So this ossification will start around the 25 years of age and it will end by the 65 years of age. Okay, it will start around 25 and it will complete by the 65 years. So one important clinical implication here, this ossification of these hyaline cartilages is the. So if you see, if you are suspecting any foreign bodies in the throat, patient presenting with some dysphagia or accidental ingestion of the foreign bodies. So if you take the X-ray neck lateral view, so these ossified cartilages may mimic as a foreign bodies. So that's why you should carefully read the X-ray neck lateral view whenever you are seeing the looking for the foreign bodies. Okay. So if you want to see the, so these ossified cartilages will be into the aid column. So if you are suspecting any esophageal foreign bodies, so you should see the vertebral column. So below the C6 level, usually you will see this esophageal foreign bodies. C6 or below C6, that is the commonest site for the esophageal foreign bodies. So one important clinical point is you should don't confuse with the foreign bodies in the esophagus. So already I told epiglottis is formed by the elastic cartilage and it is attached to the thyroid cartilage in the anterior end. So here there is attachment of this epiglottis. Here there is attachment of the epiglottis, and epiglottis is also attached to the hyoid bone by the hyoepiglottic ligament. So ligaments are nothing but there is a thick and dense part of the membranes. Those are called the ligaments. Ligaments within the larynx. So epiglottis attaches to the hyoid by the hyoepiglottic ligament and attaches to the thyroid cartilage by the thyroepiglottic ligament. Thyroepiglottic, hyoepiglottic ligament. So by comparison with the hyoepiglottic ligament, the epiglottis is divided into suprahyoid and the infrahyoid epiglottis. So above the level of the hyoepiglottic ligament, that the part of the epiglottis above the level of the hyoepiglottic ligament, that is the suprahyoid epiglottis and the infrahyoid epiglottis. So this is the body of the hyoid bone, greater horn and the lesser horn of the hyoid bone. So epiglottis is having the two surfaces, anterior surface and the posterior surface. Anterior is lingual surface and the posterior is the laryngeal surface. So in laryngeal surface, there is numerous number of the minor salivary glands will be there and mucous and serous secreting glands. So this is schematic diagram of the larynx, epiglottis. So this is the epiglottis, thyroid cartilage, cornicate and the cuneiform, arytenoid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage. This is posterior view of the larynx, cricoid cartilage, epiglottis, hyoid bone, and the thyroid cartilage and the arytenoid cartilage. So just now I told hyaline cartilage is thyroid, cricoid, and the remaining arytenoid cartilage are formed by the hyaline cartilage. Epiglottis, cornicate, cuneiform, and the apex of arytenoid cartilage are formed by the elastic cartilage. So there is no ossification in the elastic cartilage, only in the hyaline cartilage there is ossification that is begins by the 25 years and completed by the 65 years. So like this, you should draw the diagram of the indirect laryngoscopy. So whenever you are suspecting any problem in the larynx, you will examine the larynx by using the mirror. So that is called the indirect laryngoscopic mirror. So in clinical examination in the OPD, ENT OPD, you will see the larynx by using the mirror. Directly we can't see the larynx. That's why you use the mirror for examination. So that is the indirect laryngoscopic mirror. So for posterior rhinoscopy, we will use the bent mirror. For indirect laryngoscopy, we will use the straight mirror. So like this, you should draw the diagram of indirect laryngoscopy. So these are the ventricular band are the false vocal cords. These two in the center one are the blue color. Those are the true vocal cords. So this is the aryepiglottic folds between the epiglottis and the arytenoid cartilage. There is a fold, that is the aryepiglottic fold. These two are the posterior end of the vocal cords are attached to the arytenoid cartilage. And lateral to this aryepiglottic fold, on either side there is a space, that is the piriform fossa, and this is the epiglottis. Epiglottis right side and the left side. So like this, you should draw the diagram of indirect laryngoscopy. This is the flexible laryngoscopic examination picture of the larynx. So this is direct laryngoscopy by using the magnification. So these two are the vocal cords. So here the vocal cords are the abducted position. So they are away from the midline. If they are in the midline, that is the adduction. Adduction and the abduction of the two movements of the vocal cords, two vocal cords. So these are the aryepiglottic folds. This is the arytenoid cartilage, interarytenoid area, posterior pharyngeal wall. This is the epiglottis, posterior surface or laryngeal surface. This is the space anterior to the larynx, anterior to the epiglottis, that is the vallecula. On either side of these aryepiglottic folds, there is a cup-shaped depression. This is the piriform fossa. So this is left and right piriform fossa. Lateral to the aryepiglottic fold, that is the piriform fossa. So laryngeal cavity is divided into three parts, that is supraglottis, glottis, and the subglottis by the level of the vocal cords. So true vocal cords divides the larynx into three parts. So that is glottis, supraglottis, and the subglottis. So the space between the two vocal cords, that is the rima glottis. So from the laryngeal inlet to the up to the level of the two vocal cords, that is the supraglottis. Above the glottis, that is the supraglottis. Below the glottis, that is the infraglottis or subglottis. So in between the two vocal cords, that is the glottis. So this classification, laryngeal cavity classification, this is mainly useful for the carcinoma of the larynx. In carcinoma larynx, if the tumor is arising above the vocal cords, that we call it as supraglottic carcinoma, or it is arising from the vocal cords, that is the glottic carcinoma. Below the vocal cords, just below the vocal cords to the lower border of the cricoid cartilage, that is the subglottis. Students,
Yes, sir.
yeah, are you following the class, Chanakya?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how many cartilages are there in larynx?
9, sir. 9 cartilage.
Just name the cartilages.
3 unpaid and 3 paid cartilages.
Okay.
3 unpaid are thyroid, cricoid, epiglottis. Paid are arytenoid, corniculate, cuneiform.
Okay. So these made up of which type of cartilage? Which cartilages are made up of elastic cartilage?
Cricoid and apex of the arytenoid cartilages. Remaining cartilages are made up of elastic.
Epiglottis. Epiglottis, tip of the arytenoid cartilage, and the corniculate and the cuneiform. These are made up of elastic. So the big cartilages like thyroid and the cricoid cartilage are made up of hyaline cartilage. Thyroid, cricoid, and the arytenoid. Most of the arytenoid are made up of hyaline cartilage. Only tip of the arytenoid cartilage is made up of elastic cartilage. So hyaline cartilage will have the one property, ossification. Ossification of the hyaline cartilage, then it will become the hard. So if the cartilage is soft and pliable, the fractures of the cartilages are rare. So once the ossified cartilages are there, or bony hard cartilages, then there is a more chance of fractures of these cartilages. So that's why the fractures are more common in the older age group people compared to the younger age group. Okay. So differences between the pediatric larynx and the adult larynx. So you should know the differences between the pediatrics and the adult larynx. So pediatric larynx is conical in shape, and the narrowest part in the pediatric larynx is the subglottis. So below the vocal cords, that is the narrowest part in the children's or neonatal age group. But in adults, the narrowest part is the glottis. In between the two vocal cords, that is the narrowest part. So the shape of the larynx in the pediatric age group is the conical shape. But in adults, it is funnel shape. So the position of the larynx in children, it is highly positioned compared to the adults. So the position is around at the level of the C3 and C4 vertebra in the pediatric age group. But in adults, it is in between the C3 to C6, up to the level of the C6. So the pediatric larynx moves higher during swallowing, allowing the simultaneous breathing and feeding in the pediatric age group. Loose submucosal tissue will be there. It will swell up easily if there is any inflammation in the larynx. The cartilages are very soft compared to the adults, and they can easily collapse during inspiration and expiration. They are very pliable and very soft compared to the adults, the cartilages of the pediatric larynx. So the shape is different, position is high, so it moves high during the swallowing, so that it allows the children's simultaneous feeding and the breathing. So there is a loose submucosal tissue. That's why there is more chance of the development of the stridor. So because of the narrowing, because of this edema of this mucosal lining of the mainly subglottic region, because already that is a subglottic region in the pediatric age group with the very narrowest part. So if there is an inflammation, again they'll have the very narrow space for the breathing. And the compared to the adults, the cartilages are very soft in the pediatric age group. So then coming to the membranes and ligaments, extrinsic membranes and the intrinsic membrane. About the thyroid cartilage and the cricoid cartilage, epiglottis we have completed. Thyroid and the cricoid are the thyroid cartilage will have the two ala or lamina on either side. They will meet in the midline. Just a minute. So this is the thyroid cartilage. We have completed the epiglottis. This is thyroid cartilage. This is anterior surface. This is the posterior surface. And the thyroid cartilage is having the two ala. They will meet in the midline. That is called the Adam's apple. So the angulation, the angle in between the two ala is 90 degrees in the males and 120 degrees is in females. So the angle is more acute in the males. So that's why the prominence of the Adam's apple is more in the males. So 90 degrees in males and the 120 degrees in the females. And thyroid cartilage is having the upper and lower horns on either side, upper horn and the lower horn or cornua of the thyroid cartilage. So these lower horns will form the joint with the cricoid cartilage. So this is the cricoid cartilage. Again, it is made up of hyaline cartilage. So this is the only cartilage which is having a 360 degrees circle in the laryngeal framework. So anterior part, it is formed by the anterior arch. So compared to the posterior part, anterior part of the cricoid cartilage is narrow, and posterior part we call it as lamina of the cricoid cartilage. So this is made up of hyaline cartilage and 360 degrees encircled, and this is the only cartilage which is having the 360 degrees encirculation in the larynx anatomy. Okay. So then arytenoid cartilage will be there in the posterior part of the vocal cords. Arytenoid cartilage is made up of hyaline cartilage and tip is made up of, at the arytenoid cartilage will have the three surfaces and it is triangular in shape. Arytenoid cartilage will have the base and the apex. Apex is articulates with the carniculate cartilage and base is articulates with the cricoid cartilage. And two processes, one is anterior process and the lateral process. So later muscular process, so muscular process will give the attachment to the muscles of the larynx, intrinsic muscles of the larynx, and anterior process or vocal process gives attachment to the posterior part of the vocal cords. Two vocal cords are attached to the vocal process of this arytenoid cartilage. Carniculate and the cuneiform cartilages are present within the carniculate cartilage at the tip of the carniculate cartilage would be present at the tip of the arytenoid cartilage. Cuneiform cartilage or rod-shaped cartilage, and it is present within the aryepiglottic fold. So extrinsic and intrinsic membranes. The membrane means the fibroelastic tissue which connects the between two parts of the larynx or from the larynx to the outside the laryngeal structure. If the membrane is attached to the within the larynx to the outside the larynx, suppose hyoid bone. So those membranes are called the extrinsic membranes. So intrinsic membrane is the membrane which connects the within the laryngeal structures, cartilages of the larynx to each other. That is the intrinsic membrane. And extrinsic membrane is from the thyroid part of the thyroid cartilages to the like hyoid bone or tracheal rings. So these are the extrinsic membranes. Thyrohyoid membrane. So this membrane is connecting the thyroid cartilage to the hyoid bone. This is the thyrohyoid membrane. There is a entry for the superior laryngeal vessels and the superior laryngeal nerves. And one more ligament is the ligament is nothing but thickened part of the membrane. We call it as ligament. Hyoepiglottic ligament. Anterior surface of the epiglottis attaches to the body of the hyoid by the one ligament, that is the hyoepiglottic ligament. So from the epiglottis to the outside the thyroid laryngeal femur, that is the hyoid bone. The hyoid bone comes under the outside the laryngeal femur. And cricotracheal ligament or cricotracheal membrane. So from the lower border of the cricoid cartilage to the upper tracheal ring or first tracheal ring, there is a membrane, that is the cricotracheal membrane. Intrinsic membranes, there are two intrinsic membranes. Those are the quadrangular membrane and the cricovocal membrane. So cricovocal membrane is triangular in shape and it extends from the arch of the cricoid cartilage to the these two vocal cords. So upper free border of the cricovocal membrane forms the vocal ligament. Within the vocal cord, there is a vocal ligament that is nothing but thickened part of the cricovocal membrane. Cricovocal. In the name itself, there is a description, that is the cricovocal. So lower part is attached to the cricoid cartilage and the upper part it forms the thickening and vocal ligament. Cricovocal membrane, it is triangular in shape and it runs from lateral to the medially from below upwards, lateral to the medial. And thickened part of the upper free border of this cricovocal membrane forms the vocal ligament that is present within the true vocal cords. So one more intrinsic membrane is the quadrangular membrane. So this is the quadrangular membrane. So the upper part of the quadrangular membrane, thickened part, forms the aryepiglottic ligament and lower part forms the vestibular ligament. Vestibular ligament is nothing but false vocal cords. So this is the laryngeal inlet. So from here there is a supraglottis. This is the true vocal cords. Below this there is a subglottis. So quadrangular membrane and the cricovocal membrane are the intrinsic membranes, and thyroid, hyoepiglottic, and the cricotracheal membranes. These three are the extrinsic membranes. So in this picture you can see these two intrinsic membranes, quadrangular membrane and the cricovocal membrane. Cricovocal membrane upper free border forms the true vocal cord. So just now I told the larynx is divided into three parts: supraglottis, glottis, and the subglottis. That is for the anthological description. Because the larynx is having the different lymphatic drainage above the vocal cords and the below the vocal cords. So above the vocal cords, it is having a rich lymphatics compared to the below the vocal cords, and vocal cords are having a no lymphatic drainage. So that's why for oncological description, so the larynx is divided into three parts: supraglottis, glottis, and the subglottis. So if the tumors are arising in the supraglottic region, so there is a more chance of lymphatic spread compared to the glottis and the subglottis. So these are the subsides of the supraglottis. So the structure which comes under the supraglottis are the epiglottis, aryepiglottic folds, ventricular bonds are the false vocal cords, and the laryngeal ventricle. Laryngeal ventricle is nothing but space between the false and the true vocal cords. Ventricular bands are the false vocal cords, epiglottis, and the aryepiglottic folds. Glottis, true vocal cords, anterior commissure and the posterior commissure. Anterior commissure is space between the anterior part of the true vocal cords. Posterior commissure, posterior part of the vocal cords are, there is a space between the posterior part of the towards the arytenoid cartilage, that is the posterior commissure. And the subglottis is below the vocal cords, from below the vocal cords to the lower border of the cricoid cartilage, that is the subglottis. So again, there is a muscles of the larynx acting on the vocal cords, acting on the laryngeal inlet. So you have to remember all these muscles of the larynx. Posterior cricoarytenoid. So this is important entrance question for you in the NEET. So only abductor of the vocal cord is the posterior cricoarytenoid. Posterior cricoarytenoid. Adductors of the lateral cricoarytenoid, transverse interarytenoid, and the thyroarytenoid is external. So tense vocal cord by the cricothyroid muscle, and relaxation and shortening is by the vocalis muscle. Intrinsic muscles acting on the laryngeal inlet are the openers of the laryngeal inlet are the thyroepiglottic muscle, and the closure is the oblique interarytenoid and the aryepiglottic muscle. Extrinsic muscles like membrane, the muscles which are attaches the laryngeal structures to the outside the larynx, those are called the extrinsic muscles. So elevators and the depressors, elevators again primary and the secondary. In primary elevators, stylopharynges, salpingopharynges, palatopharynges, and the thyrohyoid. Secondary elevators are the mylohyoid, stylohyoid, genohyoid, and the digastric. Depressors are the sternohyoid, sternothyroid, and the omohyoid. So the part of the muscle which is below the larynx, those are called the depressors. Above the level of the larynx, those are the elevators, but they are attaches the laryngeal structures to the outside the larynx. So this is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle, which is the only muscle which is responsible for the abduction of the vocal cords. So like this lateral word movement of the vocal cords. This abduction is helpful during the respiration. During the inspiration, the vocal cords should be abducted in position. Lateral cricoarytenoid are the adductors, lateral cricoarytenoids. So lateral cricoarytenoids are helpful during the phonation. Transverse interarytenoid also adductor. Cricothyroid muscle is the tensor of the vocal cord. From the cricoid cartilage to the thyroid cartilage, cricothyroid. So cricothyroid transverse and the oblique and the interarytenoid. Interarytenoid would be there. Cricothyroid, there is two parts, transverse and the oblique. Thyroarytenoid muscle which forms the internal part, that is the vocalis. So from the thyroid cartilage, inner surface of the thyroid cartilage to the arytenoid cartilage, this is the thyroarytenoid. So the internal part of the thyroarytenoid muscle, we call it as vocalis. So which forms the bulk of this true vocal cord. So this is the oblique interarytenoid, from one arytenoid to the opposite arytenoid, from base of the one arytenoid to the apex of the other arytenoid. So this is the oblique interarytenoid. Again same muscles, lateral view. Space of the larynx, just now I told. So within the vocal cord there is a space in the superficial layer of the lamina propria, that is the Rinke space. So one more space in the larynx, that is the pre-epiglottic space. So just in front of the epiglottis there is a space, that is the pre-epiglottic space. So this is filled with the loose areolar tissue and the lymphatic, rich lymphatics. So once there is involvement of the tumor, this pre-epiglottic space that comes under the stage 3 of this laryngeal carcinoma. The boundaries of the pre-epiglottic space, anteriorly there is a thyrohyoid membrane and the hyoid bone, and superiorly hyoepiglottic ligament, and posteriorly this epiglottis. So one more space is the paraglottic space. On either side of the glottis there is a space, paraglottic space, and anteriorly it communicates with the pre-epiglottic space. So on lateral side of the larynx there is a paraglottic space. Paraglottic space and the pre-epiglottic space are the intercommunicating. So in this picture you can see this is the pre-epiglottic space and it is communicating with the paraglottic space on either side. This is the epiglottis and this is the quadrangular membrane. Quadrangular membrane is the intrinsic membrane and this is the pyriform portion. So larynx is supplied by the vagus nerve. The nerve supply of the larynx mainly by the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve branches, that is the superior laryngeal nerve and the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Superior laryngeal nerve will have the again two branches, extrinsic branch and the external branch and the internal branch. So internal branch will give the sensory supply to the above the vocal cords. Internal branch of this superior laryngeal nerve will give the sensory supply to the above the vocal cords, that is the supraglottis. Below the vocal cord, sensory supply from the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and motor supply to all the muscles of the larynx from the recurrent laryngeal nerve except cricothyroid. So cricothyroid is supplied by the external branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. Motor supply to the cricothyroid is external branch of the superior laryngeal nerve. Internal branch will give the sensory supply to the above the vocal cords. And sensory supply below the vocal cords from the recurrent laryngeal nerve, and also motor supply to all the muscles from the recurrent laryngeal nerve. And lymphatic drainage, the supraglottic area is by piercing the thyrohyoid membrane will drains into the upper deep cervical lymph nodes, and subglottic area it drains into the pretracheal and the prelaryngeal lymph nodes by piercing the cricothyroid membrane. So this is by the thyrohyoid membrane, and subglottis by the cricothyroid membrane. So pretracheal and the prelaryngeal from the subglottis, and the upper deep cervical lymph nodes from the supraglottis. And true vocal cords doesn't have any lymphatic drainage. Mucous membrane of the larynx is having the stratified squamous epithelium in the epiglottis, upper part of the epiglottic folds and the vocal cords. So majority of the larynx is lined by the pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelium, that is the respiratory epithelium, except in the epiglottis, anterior surface, upper half of the posterior surface, upper part of the epiglottic folds and the vocal cords, that is by the stratified squamous epithelium. Blood supply, arterial supply to the arterial supply from the laryngeal branch of the superior and inferior thyroid arteries, venous drainage, superior thyroid vein and inferior thyroid vein, then into the internal jugular vein and the innominate vein. So that is about the anatomy of the larynx. Then coming to the functions of the larynx. So larynx will have the 4 functions. One is the protection of the lower airway, protection of the lower airway. Second one is the phonation. Third one is the respiration, and fourth one is the for fixation of the chest. So closure of the glottis, closure of the larynx will helpful for the fixation of the chest and some functions. Okay, contraction of the intrathoracic and intra-abdominal muscles. For contraction of the intrathoracic and the intra-abdominal muscles, it will be helpful for the contraction of the muscles. So protection of the lower airway. So the main function, phylogenetically, the first developed function of the larynx is protection of the lower airway by closure of the larynx during the swallowing. So whenever we swallow the food, once it touches the posterior pharyngeal wall, there is a reflex closure of the larynx by 3-tier mechanism. One is from the laryngeal inlet by closure of the epiglottis posteriorly. So laryngeal inlet is closed by the epiglottis, and also by the false vocal cords or the ventricular bands and the vocal cords, true vocal cords. So these 3 levels, there is closure of the larynx by the 3 level, and from the laryngeal inlet and false vocal cords and the true vocal cords. And there is a temporary cessation of the respiration. It will also prevent the entering of the food into the respiratory tract, that is lower respiratory tract, and also into the larynx. Okay, and cough reflex. So there is a reflex, there is a protective mechanism, that is the cough reflex. Whenever there is accidental entry of these food particles into the larynx, immediately we will get the cough reflex. So this is a protective mechanism, so that we will expel out this foreign material into the larynx, and so that it won't enter into the lower respiratory system. So if these 3 mechanisms will protect the lower respiratory tract. So protection of the lower airway is the foremost important function of the larynx. So this protection will be carried out by the closure of the larynx, temporary cessation of the respiration during the swallowing, and cough reflex. So this respiration cessation is mediated by the glossopharyngeal nerve and the deglutition center in the brain. So that is the protection of the lower airway. Second function is the voice production of the voice. So voice activating air reservoir in lungs affect the voice intensity. Voice generation affects the voice pitch. Voice resonation affects the voice quality, and voice articulation affects the voice quality. So voice is produced by the movements of the vocal cords. There is a vibration of the membrane, outer epithelial layer of the membrane of the vocal cords. So this is by the carried out by the. So there is a blast of the air that comes from the lungs. So when the vocal cords are in adduction in position, there is a blast of air that opens the vocal cords forcefully, so that there is a vibration of the. So this is the phonation or speech. Second function of the larynx. So voice is produced from the air coming from the trachea, and it will forcefully open this vocal cord, so that there is a production of the voice. So there is one theory which explains the voice production, that is called the combined aerodynamic and myoelastic theory. So vocal cords are kept approximated. That means that is adductor position of the vocal cords. There is a subglottic blast of air which opens the vocal cord from below upwards. Then it causes their passive vibration and producing the sound. So like this, from below upwards. So there is a air. These are the vocal folds or true vocal cords. Adductor in position, completely closure. So from below upwards, there is a opening of these vocal cords, so that there is a production of the vocal cords, production of the voice. This is the adduction and this is the abduction. So there is a gap in between the vocal cords. So this is the structure of the vocal cord. So like this, you can see this animated picture. You can see. So whenever there is a air coming from below upwards, there is a separation, a vibration of this mucous membrane over the vocal cords from below upwards. If you see this picture, from below upwards, there is a separation. So during this process, there is a production of the voice. So that is the phonatory function of the larynx. So third function is the respiration during. So it will regulate the air entry into the lower respiratory tract by the during inspiration and expiration. So that is during the inspiration there is a abduction of the vocal cords, and during the expiration and phonation there is a during inspiration and expiration both the times there is a abduction of the vocal cords, and during phonation there is a adduction of the vocal cords. Fourth function is the chest fixation. Closure of the glottis helps for the helps in raising the intrathoracic and intra-abdominal pressure that is required for these functions: coughing, defecation, climbing. For doing these actions, we need a contraction of the intrathoracic and the intra-abdominal muscles. So for that function, there is complete this closure of the larynx is necessary. Thank you. This is about the larynx anatomy and the physiology. So the functions are the protection of the lower airway, phonation, respiration, and the fixation of the chest.